Hi, this is Dave, and before we get to the show, I wanted to ask you a favor. One of our goals this year is to grow the show so that What Does Star Wars Mean to You reaches more listeners. And that's where we're asking you for help. And it's really easy. Wherever you listen to us, please hit that subscribe button. If you're liking the show, give us a 5-star rating and review on the platform you listen to us. We make a lot of fun of the algorithm and the smash that button thing, but it really does help us get noticed by new fans. And if you want to join in on the conversation, find us on social at Star Wars Mean to You. That's Star Wars Mean, the number 2 in the letter U. Now, let's chat some Star Wars.
But what drew me to it the most is the seeing things you hadn't seen or imagined before, and then finding out how they did that, how they made it.
Hello there. This is Dave, and I'm an original trilogy kid.
And this is Elora. I'm a prequel trilogy kid. Welcome to What Does Star Wars Mean to You, the show where we talk to all kinds of fans of Star Wars and we take the hate out of the debate to look at the franchise from a certain point of view, one fan at a time.
That's right. Also, it's just fun to chat Star Wars.
Yes, it is. We do that a lot here in this corner of the internet.
Today's guest I'm really excited about. It's Bryan Ward, and he's a Photoshop artist that has a large following on things like X, Instagram, Threads, on social. He has a large social following because he does these amazing Photoshops of Star Wars moments, like putting Dexter Jettster into scenes, putting I think he did a whole series of the Al from Skeleton Crew into different scenes of Andor on the lead up to Andor season 2.
Oh, that's funny. Her name is Kim, by the way.
Oh, wait. Is it really Kim?
It's like, it's Kim. It's like KHYMM or something like that. Yeah.
That is like the most basic B Star Wars name ever.
I know.
That would be like, hi, I'm John.
But spelt with a Z.
Yeah. Anyway.
What I love about Bryan's stuff is I love his comedic approach to the art that he creates. But I also love like the commentary. Like he really does a great job of like plugging in what's going on the internet. Like if you're quote unquote chronically online in terms of the meme culture into Star Wars in a really fun narrative way. Yeah.
Yes. I think that was brilliantly said. I wish I could have said it that way. He does logos and YouTube frames for a ton of different podcasts and shows, like the Resistance broadcast, as well as Star Wars Explained, and for brands like Harley Davidson.
Yeah.
Should we go talk to him?
He's a really cool, creative guy. Yeah, let's head over there.
Awesome.
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Cool.
Okay.
Hi, Bryan. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Well, again, thank you for joining us today, Bryan. We're really excited. I followed you on Twitter for a couple years now. I love your Photoshops. I love your attitude. Tell us. Our very first question usually is: are you ready to share with the world what does Star Wars mean to you?
Sure. I no problem sharing that with. I probably share it too much with people.
I don't think so. I never think there's an overshare when it comes to Star Wars.
Yeah.
No, we're definitely of that mind.
Yeah.
Do you want to do the 5 with the Force, Dave? I feel like I did it last time. Should we pass the torch?
Sure. Yes. Okay, so 5 with the Force, 5 basic questions we ask all our guests. Which Star Wars movie is your guilty pleasure?
It's hard to call any of them because I like them all, but I guess I'd have to say Attack of the Clones just for the Dexter Jettster scenes. Like that might be an obvious answer for people that know me, but it's not the best Star Wars movie in my opinion, but it has some of the best stuff in it. And that one scene I obviously watched a few times. So
yes. And it's I always like Attack of the Clones because it has like action, drama, some comedy, some espionage.
Padme's best costumes are in that film.
Yeah.
Sorry to anybody who disagrees.
Yeah.
And of course, Dexter Jettster.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, for this one, I have to roll a d6. Let me do a quick roll here. And I got a 4. Which is your favorite droid?
It's tough because my entire life it's been R2-D2, but over the last 8-10 years, I really love Chopper, but
Yes.
Yeah.
I BB-8, like
Yeah.
the character, but also just everything around it, the way it worked, the fact that it was real. Like when he rolled on
Yeah.
stage for the first time during that celebration panel, and I was like, wait, they made a real version of that? That was like, for me, that all of my fears about the new era of Star Wars at the time kind of went away. I was like, oh, they still have the magic. So it's still going to
Yes.
be there. They're going to show me things I didn't think they were going to be able to show me. And so it's hard for me not to say him
Yeah.
overall, but maybe as a character, it's hard not to say R2D2 because it's like,
Yeah.
He's the OG.
yeah, it's like like my iPhone case for years was an R2D2. Like I have a ton of R2D2
Yeah.
figures.
I was just looking behind you, counting up the R2D2s.
There's more that I don't even have out or that you can't see. So it's kind of, I don't know. But yeah, it's all of them. But I really have gotten, like, BB-8 means a lot outside of the movies for me, just as what I like in Star Wars and what that character and how they made it represents. And the design, I'm kind of into design, so that matters to me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also funny because one of your shelf units is Chopper BB-8. Oh, I forget the one from Fallen Jedi.
Oh,
his name.
BD-1.
BD-1,
Yeah.
and then a couple R2 units.
Yeah, the one I built at Disney during Celebration in Anaheim. And the one you can't see is like a 4D puzzle that's like kind of like you had to make it out of cardboard pieces. It was kind of annoying. But it was
I got some of those for Christmas. I got a 3PO, I think.
Yeah. They're pretty fun, but they're kind of frustrating at times. But once they're done,
yes,
they look.
I haven't assembled him. I've nowhere to put him right now.
Yeah.
Question number 3: what is your favorite line to quote?
If you're including Photoshops, it has to be somehow Palpatine returned.
Yes.
Because I ran that line into the ground, like of 90% of my online presence the last few years has probably been that meme. I don't quote Star Wars a lot, at least that I can think of, but I do use that line a lot. Just it's so usable in all situations and finding new ways to bring it in when people maybe hopefully aren't expecting it.
Yes. We'll circle back on that because I do have a question specifically on that line. Besides the movies, what is your favorite Star Wars content? This could be a TV show, comic books, novels, a game, toys, whatever you want.
I would have to say Rebels it might be one of my favorite Star Wars things, just including the movies.
Yeah.
That show, like I watched it every week. It was at a time for me when I didn't know anybody who admitted that they like Star Wars. It was still kind of coming back. And so I would sit there and watch it every night that it came on just by myself. And that's when I kind of started discovering YouTube and that there's content out there that people were making about Star Wars, which I didn't know. And seeing other people talk about the show, it was kind of like the moment where I was like, oh, wait, I'm not the only person that likes this stuff in the world, even though it feels like that most of the time. From like 2005 to 2014-ish, I still liked it, but if I avoided conversations about it because people didn't hesitate to tell you how much they didn't like it. So that show was like, I loved the show, but also seeing other people love it online kind of opened up a new world of other people that I could interact with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Community building.
Mm-hmm.
And our final question for you is, who is currently your favorite Star Wars character to Photoshop?
I guess the obvious answer is Dexter Jettster, but I'm almost like people are expecting it, so I don't want to do it anymore. I want to do other things, but that's still probably the one that, because there's so little footage of him in the movie and there's so few images of him online, that working with that small amount of reference material, but still working him into any situation, like that challenge I enjoy, even if the ideas are harder to come by with him. But
No, they're all it's I love looking at your work because you're not just putting things into other scenes, you're making kind of these small statements.
Yeah.
And you have a point of view in it. And that's really, really cool to see when you're just scrolling through just a lot of garbage.
There's a lot of garbage on Twitter.
So,
Yes.
Well, what was your first introduction to Star Wars, and can you take us through that experience?
I don't remember my exact first because, like, I'm old enough that I have vague memories of when there were only 2 Star Wars movies, and I remember waiting for Return of the Jedi to come out as a kid, and I don't remember everything about going to see it, but I remember specifically being in the theater, loving the movie, not wanting it to end, and remembering a scene of Luke and Vader fighting in the trailer and knowing that we hadn't seen that yet. So I was like, okay, it's still got some time left. So,
yes.
But the toys, my brother and I playing with the toys, I knew the toys before I really knew the movies or the characters or any of that. So like really the 80s, like the original toys were probably my introduction to it. It's like my mom and dad were big into it and they bought us all this stuff. So we had it before we really even knew what it was.
Oh, wow. And what way was your mom and dad into it? I mean, and are they still into it or has their fandom kind of,
well,
I don't want to say.
Not fizzled out.
Well, I mean,
fizzled out.
I guess they was more of like at the time they were into it. They saw the movies, wanted us, thought we would like them kind of thing. But once the original craze died down, I don't think they were big fans of, like, they're not big sci-fi kind of fans. They have other interests, but they gave it to me and my brother, and that was like our thing for our whole lives. And I think my mom is still interested in it because I am. And she'll be out on shopping trips and see things and go, oh, do you have this? And I'll be like, no. And then she'll buy it and give it to me. I mean, most of the stuff behind me I didn't buy, like other people have given it to me. So
that's a good position to be in where you set yourself as your group's Star Wars guy and they all give you things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or it's like sometimes it's like things you don't even really want, but you're like, well, it has meaning now because this person gave it to me.
Yes.
It's not something I ever would have wanted myself. Like, plus there really isn't that many things in Star Wars that I don't like. But like, sometimes you get a hat or a shirt or something. You're like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I like it now because you gave it to me, not necessarily because
bought that.
That's a weird thing for me because I've spent most of my adult life designing t-shirts for various companies. So it's very hard to get a shirt for me that I actually like. Like, I'm more of a just give me a blank shirt because I don't want words on it. I don't want it's just after doing so many of them, it's like, I don't want to look at it anymore. Like,
right.
Exactly. As an aside, I was just wondering, maybe you could talk to your mom and have her call my mom and give her some hints on how to buy things for their son. But besides that, that's a lot.
I'll see what I can do.
You were talking about the action figures and getting to know them first. Was there an action figure that was your favorite? Or a couple that were kind of like your go-to players?
I loved all of the aliens and I guess the troopers, but mostly Greedo, Bosk, those kind of weird creatures that maybe at the time I didn't realize it, but now it's like there had to be some more creative input into what those characters look like as figures. Like, a person had to make decisions on here's how we're going to translate that to action figure form in the simplified figures that we had back then. And at the time, obviously I was a kid. I had no idea about design or how any of these things were made, but that probably what I turned out to be as an adult probably had some input in that, why I was drawn to it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's interesting that you mentioned the characters that kind of lead to Dexter Jettster. You know, the very interesting amphibian kind of characters.
The aliens.
That's really the aliens.
Yeah.
How did it impact your day-to-day life? Like, so you get the toys, you start to see the films. Walk us through what was Star Wars' influence in your life, coming to age, and then now obviously getting to the point where you are in your graphic design career and having such, basically, the shrine to Star Wars. We all have one.
Yeah.
Walk us through that. Yeah.
I guess it's really all connected, and like what drew me to Star Wars, I love the characters and stories and all of it, just like everyone else. But what drew me to it the most is just the seeing things that you hadn't seen or imagined before, and then finding out how they did that, how they made it, the people behind the scenes. Like, I'm way more interested in the how they made it than what they made.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love what they made, but I want to know how they did it. I want to know who designed this character, how did this character get designed. In the old movies, what did George say, and then what did the person have to, because I've gone through so much of that in my life, in my career, of here's a person that thinks they have an idea, but they're not a creative person. So you kind of have to read their mind and figure out what are they actually thinking and what do they want? Because they can't tell me the way that I would want them to tell me.
Right.
So all of that, and just moreover, like, especially when the prequels came out, things that you never would have thought would be in Star Wars, like the pod race or a 50s diner or whatever, like expanding the possibilities of things. Like, here's the obvious choice, but let's not do that. Let's find a different path and find something more interesting or different, or just don't give people exactly what they want all the time, or give it to them in a way they're not expecting. So like that helped in art, like drawing or designing something or whatever it is, making a Photoshop. It's always, what do I think people are going to think I'm going to do? And then what else can I do? And try and open that up a little bit, like that creative spark that all of the movies have had, really, I don't know, I guess informed my life that way.
Yeah. Wow.
When you're in like kind of a creative slump, is there a film or is there a Star Wars content, whether it's a film or TV show, that you kind of throw on in the background just to kind of feel it and see if it inspires anything?
It's honestly the behind the scenes thing, like Light and Magic. I've watched numerous times because that is like my favorite thing ever. Like just seeing everything they went through to make the original 3 movies, and then what that led to beyond that, and just watching those people solve problems, because that's what graphic design really is. Art really is just solving problems. I want to get here. I'm here. How do I get to that point? And what do I know how to do that can get me there? And so like those things inspire, like if I'm really in a drought, which I always say I don't really have droughts because I can't, because I'm freelancing for the last few years. I have to work all the time or this doesn't work. So you can't afford to have droughts. Sometimes you have to power through it and say, I hope whatever I'm doing turns out to be good because I have to do it today.
Right.
Yeah. You're on deadline.
When I really feel like I need to be inspired, like I will go back to Light and Magic. I will go back to The Force Awakens behind the scenes, The Last Jedi behind the scenes, those things. Then just seeing all these different creative people coming together, whatever you think of the movies, like amazing work went into those things. And that is inspiring, no matter how it turned out for a person individually.
I'm curious, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but you're talking about how you, for so much of what you enjoyed is digging into the how of Star Wars, especially around like the conceptualizing of these creatures in that universe. And I'm curious, like, what's your favorite behind the scenes knowledge that you've obtained of that creation, and how has it inspired your work?
The one that stands out, maybe because it's one of the more recent ones, but the one that stands out that I was actually surprised by was in the Rise of Skywalker behind the scenes, when I found out that the sinking fields, they just did that practically. Like they dug out the ground and put beans like in the ground, and the actors went down through it, and there was a storage container buried in the ground that they went down into.
Wow,
underneath.
I didn't know
I was like,
that.
I just assumed it was CGI. Like, why would they
Yeah.
go to that trouble? And when they started digging the hole and put that, I was like, they did this for real? Like, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
So like that stands out. There's so many other ones, but that one, like, and it's also one that I feel like, I don't know if people just didn't watch the behind the scenes of The Rise of Skywalker, but I've run into so many people that were like, they didn't even know that that was a thing. And I'm not that they need to.
I'm guilty of that.
But
yeah, I actually, you just shared something new for me.
But like, I was surprised by that. So it's almost like I want everyone to know about it.
Yeah. What about in the graphical side of things, like the creation of some of these aliens and like how they were designed and inspired? Again, I'm totally putting you on the spot because I'm just curious.
I'm trying to remember.
Wondering if you know.
I kind of remember. It's been a long time since I watched the prequel behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But I remember a scene of George walking in, and there's just a bunch of head sculpts of different aliens that he looked at and pointed at different ones he wanted to use. And I remember, I think Dexter's head was like, he saw it and knew it would be good for something else. I may have that wrong, but it was maybe for a different character, and then he came back to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's the original, like the Cantina creatures, a lot of those were like just masks that they had or whatever. So there weren't a lot of design choices being made. And like, but once you got to like, I guess Empire, but especially Return of the Jedi, and then the prequels especially is like filled with crazy aliens and stuff.
They have more freedom, it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah. I just like, I don't know, I've run into this in my career when I was designing the Harley Davidson t-shirts, is like we would do this catalog a few times a year that we would send out to the dealerships and they could order shirts out of. And we would all everyone in the art department would just come up with a bunch of designs. They'd hang them up on the wall, and then the higher up people would come in and just pick the ones they liked or what they wanted to do with it. Whenever that happened, I remember all the scenes of George basically doing exactly that, where the art department would come up with all these aliens and creatures, and then he would pick the one that matched whatever I guess was closest in his head. So like, I like that the people got to kind of just go crazy and do whatever they thought they would put in Star Wars. And then he was almost like saying, here are the ones that actually fit in, and the rest of these don't fit.
Cool.
So how did photoshopping with Star Wars come about for you, and what were some of your first pieces?
I don't know. It's something I've been doing for, 20 years of making dumb Photoshops, like either for work or just because I was bored at work. A lot of it came from that, just being bored at work and wanting something. It's 1:30. I have to be here till 4:30. If I don't do something, I'm going to literally count the seconds until it's 4:30 because I'm so bored out of my mind.
Yeah.
So being stuck in dark gray cubicles, like people who are creative or artists in that, and we're going to come up with something to do.
Yes.
And, so there have been other Photoshop, like I wasn't just photoshopping the people we worked with who maybe we didn't like as much, or or making other people laugh at work. Something that someone thinks is funny, or it kind of came from that. And then when Twitter started to become bigger and I started finding more people online, that's when the Star Wars Photoshops really became the focus. Like it's always been the thing I liked the most, but there wasn't an audience for it among the people I knew. So I could make a Star Wars thing, but it almost had to be from you hate these movies, so I'll make fun of them so you'll laugh at it kind of thing, even though I like them. But once I found people who also like them, but also think that some of the stuff in it is maybe kind of weird, but they like that it's weird, like I do, that's when it kind of took off. So I think I joined Twitter in like 2009, but it wasn't until like 2013 or 14 when more and more Star Wars fans I started finding online.
So what's it been like to collaborate with that variety of different like fan creators, and like how has it maybe changed or evolved your opinion of Star Wars over the years?
It's definitely changed some things for me, like seeing people that like things or just think about things that I, as a white dude living in the Midwest, might not ever think about. Like hearing like, I was a big listener to Force Center, and I've done a lot of design work for them, and hearing Jennifer Landa's her opinions about things and say things that like I would never like. I watched Solo and I thought, I can't remember. Was it Val, Tandy Newton's character in Solo?
Yeah, I believe it's Val. Yeah,
I think it is Val.
When she dies, spoiler, when she dies early in the movie, like I didn't think anything of it. I remember her having a problem with that because of. You can go listen to her talk about it. I'm not gonna, but
yeah,
and I just never would have thought of that without hearing her say it, and just thinking, having that perspective and thinking how other people might look at these things. It wasn't that no, that's the way the movie had to. I'm not like locked into my position on things, but sometimes you have to step outside of your own bubble and like this, other people are going to be affected by things differently than you. That doesn't mean I have to be affected by them that way, but I have to be aware that they're going to have a different experience than me, and that is fine. You can both enjoy the same things for different reasons. So it's definitely opened up different avenues, I guess. Like growing up, like I said, in the Midwest, I was around a lot of Star Wars fans, but guess what? They all kind of look like me and probably had the same childhood as me. We all had the same toys, lived in the same neighborhoods, looked the same, went to the same school. Like we all led identical lives. So when you get out on the internet and you start working with or interacting with other people that didn't have that same experience as you and had a different one, you just have to learn to interact with people differently and see other people's perspective and be open to what they're saying. But also you don't have to hide what you think about things either. So it's definitely changed me, or maybe it like opened up something that was already there. I don't feel like I was super closed off to all of this, but it was just things I'd never really thought about that other people have said.
I do want to talk about somehow the Emperor returned, because that's one of the things I've noticed on your Photoshops. It's a lot. And I will say right off that that's a line that never really bothered me. And I'm not saying that it bothers you. I just think it's very funny because it comes up with a lot of people online.
Yeah.
And usually in a negative way. I don't feel like you use it in a negative way. I feel like you use it kind of to make a statement about whatever you're commenting on at the moment. And to me, that line is simply the writer saying to the audience, look, I could take 5 minutes of time and explain to you how he returned, or we can just say somehow he returned and we can get on with the story. Because how he returned isn't important right now. It's that he's here. That's important. So tell me, what is it about that moment that resonates with you, and why do you like using it so much?
I think like I didn't have I didn't love it, and I didn't have a problem with the line in the movie. It was more the fact of going into the movie. I was like, I don't know how they're gonna how does this work? Like you're bringing him back. Why haven't we heard about him? Like it feels like you've just pivoted to this story from something else, which is fine, but I wanted a little more of like what was going on, which I knew we would get in other stories, which we have. So it didn't really bother me. It was just more of like in the theater, hearing that line and thinking the internet isn't going to like this, like preparing myself for the reaction. And part of what I loved about it is the fact that everyone else didn't love it. Like if you put something out there that you all say you don't like, I'm going to show it to you as many times as I can. And if I can use it, to poke fun at other things or make some kind of a statement about something else, it's also everybody knows what it is. You can just show them that image without the caption, and everyone knows that greenish blue colored scene of Poe kind of looking down and sad. Everyone knows exactly what that is. I don't have to even put a caption if I don't want to. And it's like doing most of the work for you. You just have to plug in whatever you're talking about.
You mentioned when you saw that moment that you were like, oh, the internet's not going to react well to that. Is there any other moments where you kind of saw that and you called it correctly?
I feel like the one I was surprised I was wrong about was in The Last Jedi. I know there's people out there that do not like the Force Skype or whatever we're calling it now between Rey and Kylo.
Yes,
but I remember.
I actually don't think I've heard that one yet.
No,
I've heard somebody call it that. I don't even know if
That's
Skype's
really
a
good.
thing anymore, but the Force Streamlabs or whatever people use today. But that was like my favorite thing about that. Instantly, when I first saw it, I was like, this is new and different. This is what I want out of these. But I was like, I don't think people are going to like this. Like, we've never seen it before. There's no 1989 role-playing rule book that's going to say this is like Force Power 7 that you get after 2 years of training or whatever these people were upset about at the time. So like, I was surprised I didn't see more anger at that. Like, I knew there were some people, but I expected it to be like I guess there was just so many other things about that movie.
Yes, I was just about to say that.
But, the one that I actually dislike to this day. I don't hate it. It doesn't ruin the movie for me. But Luke throwing the lightsaber over his shoulder, like, I didn't like the take. I didn't like the angle. I didn't like the face he made, the way he threw it. Like, I like the message that he doesn't want anything to do with it again. I just wish, even if he throws it over, it was just like he turned into Mark Hamill for a few seconds. Like, so it just felt off to me. And obviously people hated that like way more than I didn't hate it. It was just like, did we not have a different version of that we could use? But
was there not a single better take?
Yeah. But it's grown on me to the point where I've used that in numerous Photoshops of people throwing things over their shoulder or whatever. It's kind of like what I love about making the Photoshops is taking something that maybe I don't like and then I make something else out of it so that now it is something that I like.
Give it a new meaning.
Yeah. That I wanted to ask about your process of Photoshopping. Is what are some of the elements that make you go, okay, this is good enough to kind of publish, or you know what, I've been working on this one thing and I'm not cracking it. What's that process like?
I don't know. The process of most of my Photoshops is I sit down at my desk every day, and most days I don't want to be there working. I don't want to do, even if it's something exciting, like I don't want to do it. Like I'm not great at starting. Like once I get started, then I can go for hours without taking a break or what. I just get locked in and I go for a long time. But so like the Photoshops are like my warm up. Like a lot of days I sit down, I don't even have an idea of what I'm just like, I'll sit down. I think of something, what's a scene, what's going on Twitter or Blue Sky or whatever people are using. And how can I make something out of that? And sometimes I'll see a specific tweet from a person I follow or something, and that will trigger something. But it's mostly just a warm up. Like they take 10, 15 minutes to put together. They're kind of throwaway pieces of art. But by the time I get done with it, I'm kind of locked into the zone of work now, and I can go on to whatever it is I'm actually supposed to be doing.
Yeah. It's almost like a warm up.
Yeah. It's kind of like people that like illustrators doing warm-up sketches, like just to get ready. Like you don't want to dive straight in. And people that are paying me to design stuff, they don't want me to go straight in. Like you want to have a warm-up because the first thing I do usually isn't that great. Like you kind of have to
the first draft.
You're not awake or whatever. You're just kind of like going through the motions, and you kind of have to get woken up and get in that mindset. So making a little Photoshop and posting it online, and the ones that get reaction, then it's like seeing notifications throughout the day. That gives you like a little spark of creative juice, and ones that don't, then you're like, well, I'll just pretend I didn't make that and move on to the next thing.
Was there one that got a surprisingly overwhelming reaction from the internet, whether it was positive or negative, that kind of surprised you?
Yeah, easily. By far the most shocking thing I've ever posted online was just, I think in like November or sometime, I took the scene from The Bear, which I don't know if you've watched that show, but where Richie is walking through the halls of the restaurant he was at learning, the Forks episode, and he sees the picture of Carmi, and I'm forgetting the character's name, the tall blonde guy. But he sees that picture on the wall And I took that picture and just put Dexter Jettster in next to Army. And I was like 5 people are going to laugh at this because I don't feel like anybody watches this show. I think that got like 80,000 likes on Twitter.
Wow.
I was like, I didn't even know there was that many people online that watch this show, let alone the cross-section of people that watch The Bear, like Star Wars, know who Dexter Jettster is, and would even care about this existing. I don't know why. I still have no idea why that one became a thing. Like, it was a throwaway one. I thought, sometimes when I make things, I've got like 1 or 2 people in mind where I'm like, I know this person's going to laugh at it, so I'll post it. Mm-hmm. And if no one else sees it, but they like it, then that's good enough for me.
So funny. Yeah, you'd think the Venn diagram of those fan crossovers would be so narrow.
I mean, I see people talking about The Bear, but I don't see that many people talking about it. Like I did another one where it was the somehow Palpatine returned scene again, but it was Shrek and all the Shrek characters in the background, and it was somehow Farquaad returned.
Yes.
That one got like 30,000 likes, but that wasn't surprising because I know there's tons of Shrek people online, like kids that grew up with it. Oh, yeah. There might not be Shrek celebration or whatever, but there's people that know it. So I expected, this one could be something that people react to. I never would have, of all the things I've ever made, I didn't expect that to be the one that got the biggest amount of reaction. I still have no idea why. Like, I even started thinking, did I accidentally put something in this that like the wrong groups of people online have focused in on, and they're using this in a way that I don't realize. But like, I guess people just like The Bear and Star Wars. I don't
know. So speaking of Dexter Jettster, Adam Lance Garcia wrote the story in I think it was Return of the Jedi from a certain point of view. And he's kind of like a big Dexter Jettster fan. Have you talked to him at all? Has he reached out to you?
We've interacted online quite a bit. Like we follow each other, and anytime I post a Dexter Photoshop, like he'll like it or share it or make a comment about it. Like, I like Dexter as a character. He's more of just the guy I Photoshop into stuff. Like, I would defer to Adam as being like the super fan. Like, he's written a story about him and probably knows more about. I know the scene from the movie, and I'm aware that he's appeared in other stuff. And that's like I'm mostly here to take this weird guy and put him into scenes that he doesn't belong in, and that's it. So, but yeah, I've interacted with him a lot online. Like we haven't hung out in person yet, but maybe someday if I ever get back to a celebration.
The comedy of it is just, it's so good.
Yeah, it really is. I just like there's this almost throwaway character that has united a fan base. I find that really fantastic.
And that's a lot of Star Wars. There's so many of those characters.
Yes.
I mean, you go to any celebration and you see the running of the hoods. It's like Wilbur Hood is the most nothing character that's ever existed in the movies, but people love him. And so it's just great to see when something so meaningless becomes meaningful to so many people, and then you can connect over that, even though you might not have anything else in common.
Right.
And talking about celebration brings us to our next question. What is your favorite Star Wars memory?
Star Wars memory. There's so many, like when I was a kid or seeing the special editions. I remember that being a big deal. The one Star Wars memory that I still go back to is Celebration in 2019 in Chicago. I didn't get into the panel, but I was at the main stage, and you can go online, and I'm sure everyone's seen the crowd of, like, it seemed like thousands of people just around the main stage when we were all watching the episode 9 panel at the time, because we didn't know the name, on the big screen together, just being in a crowd of thousands of people watching this panel about a Star Wars movie that's coming out. As someone that spent, I don't know, most of my life feeling like there weren't that many other Star Wars fans out there, or just it was something I enjoyed myself, but I didn't know enough people who liked it either as much as me or cared. we all liked it as a kid, but I never stopped liking it. Everyone else moved on to other stuff. So just the fact that there's that many people out there that like it, but also I'm standing in a crowd and we're all reacting to this new trailer together at the same time. Like, it should have been kind of scary because, like, if something had broken out or something bad had happened, I don't know, it would have been a stampede because I was in the middle of it. I don't know how I would have gotten out of there. And then you fast forward a year and it's 2020, and then you think about, I was standing in a crowd of thousands of people all breathing on each other. So it all changed. So it was like the last time that you could have done that and not have to think about that. But I remember that moment. I go back to it. I remember the music from the trailer and the visuals. And I remember, I don't know if either of you were at Celebration in Chicago, but they had this booth in the back that kept playing the trailer music from Solo over and over and over again, full blast, where you could hear it throughout the whole show floor. And I remember that going off during the panel. It was just like that whole experience. It was almost like the universe or whatever saying, like, all of that time you spent liking this by yourself wasn't a waste of time. Like, you weren't the only one out there. And now through the internet and the work that you have done with other people, it's like opened up a new era of Star Wars.
That's fantastic.
That's awesome.
That's a great. I love how it kind of coalesces with this journey of finding your place. Really, that's really wonderful.
And right on the cusp of everybody feeling so alone. Like, right before we were all in such isolation. Like, that's an incredible coincidence.
What are the top 3 elements that make Star Wars to you?
Well, it has to have the weird stuff. It has to have not just the aliens, but like the things that make it feel like it's taking place somewhere other than Earth. And,
Yep.
And it's got to have that. For me, it has to have something I'm not expecting, something I would never have thought of myself. But also there has to be something behind it where it was made in a way that I never would have imagined they made something that way. It's not a must, but if it has that, that's even better. But it definitely has to have like the weird stuff for me to really love it as a Star Wars fan. Like, the story is less important to me. It's still important, but to other people, it's going to be way more important than it is to me. Like, I don't even like the story is like the 5th thing on the list for me, probably. But I just really need to see the visuals and see things that I didn't expect, see things that are different than what I would see if I walked outside right now. And Andor is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. It's the show, the writing is amazing. The acting is amazing.
Yeah.
The cinematography, the music, all of it is one of my least favorite Star Wars things. Like, it just doesn't feel very Star Warsy to me. I don't dislike it. It's just, of all the things that are out there, it's the one I connect with the least because that stuff just isn't in most of it. It feels like a real world setting almost all the time. We go to a prison and it's all humans. Like, that stuff, it doesn't make me dislike it, but it stands out to me. Like, so in Skeleton Crew, when you get a crazy cat owl creature that has maps and can tell us information about the galaxy, like, that's what I love about Star Wars, is the weird stuff like that. Like the crazy weird aliens, the droids, the ships, the different planets, like, just, it's really a visual thing. I'm a visual person, so it's not surprising, but
of course,
like, that's, I don't know if that counts as 3, but that's like one that has multiple things. I guess that would be the biggest one.
Which makes sense coming from a visual creator.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, this is our last question for you.
Okay.
We talked about you're starting out like Star Wars. You were born into Star Wars. It was always around.
Yeah.
It was your first introduction was being born. How how you got into photoshopping different Star Wars elements and then sharing that and then kind of finding your people through that sharing of what you loved. Like going from kind of protecting your fandom because of all the prequel hate to opening up and really sharing with the world your talent and your ability and your humor and your commentary, all the way to, Chicago and finding your people. Having just discussed all of this, could you kind of say, what does Star Wars mean to you?
I think it means like creativity, but also like expanding your, boundaries, like what you, being open to new things. But really it's kind of been like the through line of my life, of my creative influence on things that have nothing to do with it. Like I'll see something in a Star Wars thing that I've never seen before, and that would inspire me to go design this shirt and maybe put a little, like, what can I do that's different? Like,
yeah.
So it's kind of kept me, I don't know, I guess you just think about George Lucas and all of his crazy ideas, and that he got them out there in the world and he did the best version he could, and then he went back and did it again. Like, just to keep at it. Like luckily my parents never like tried to keep me. They pushed me to pursue art. My dad was an artist too, so I never had to fight to keep going with that. But seeing things, the creativity in Star Wars, that was like almost like I wasn't going to go out and make Star Wars, but it was a goal of, I want to reach that level of creativity, making things that people connect with, whatever it is. Like someday I'm going to get to a point where I can do something that affects people on some level, the way that these movies can affect other people. So it's kind of, I guess, a creative inspiration would be the simplest way to say that.
Yay, I love that.
That's fantastic. And I think people are connecting with your creativity.
Absolutely.
I hope on some level, even if it's just 15 seconds of laughing and then they move on with it.
Yes.
People can use that. That has value.
It does have value. We do. We need
definitely
it.
has value.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
Yeah.
Bryan?
I'm on all of the main social media. I don't even know what ones are cool anymore. Like, I guess.
Yeah, neither do I.
I guess Blue Sky is like the one most people seem to be on. I'm on there. I don't remember. If you go to my X or Twitter or whatever, my pinned post is a link to a link tree that has all my links. I post everything on all the different sites. So if you're on one of them, you're not going to miss probably much. Twitter, as I still call it Twitter. That's the one where
we all do.
I still get the most interaction on there. So I'm still over there despite everything. I've been using Blue Sky more. Like, I'm on Instagram and TikTok and Threads, and I don't actively use those as much, but I still post there when I have stuff. So any of those places.
Nice.
Well, we'll put a lot of those social links in the podcast notes. So if anyone wants to just open it up and link directly to it, they'll be able to.
15 seconds of joy in their day.
Yes. Bryan, thank you so much. Again, I've been a fan for a couple years. I really appreciate your work. I really enjoy what you post. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your Star Wars journey with us.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'm glad to be on. I don't do many of these, but not because I turn people down. It's just behind the scenes, you don't get a lot of this kind of attention. It's kind of like you're just in there in the background somewhere.
Well, now you're in the forefront.
Yes. Bryan, may the Force be with you.
Oh, thank you. May the Force be with you.